problem with me. She did not like me. And when we ran away together, we would always go over to Terrell's house and we would get alcohol. And that day she wanted...
When did you run away?
I came back on Thanksgiving. I left like a week before Thanksgiving.
Why did you run away?
I do not even know. I just decided that I didn't want to be home, and me and my friends just left home and didn't come back.
Who lives in your house?
My mother, my father, and my 2 brothers.
How old are your brothers?
They're 12 and almost 9, so 8.
So you set the example for your 2 older brothers. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Does your mother beat you?
No, Your Honor.
What about your father?
No, Your Honor.
Do they give you food?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you sleep shackled to a radiator?
No, Your Honor.
Well, then can you explain to me why you and your friend left home?
Just because we wanted to get out of my house because my parents had strict rules, and
Well, I'd like you to tell me about the strict rules.
that we couldn't do anything. We could not smoke.
You couldn't smoke.
We
Couldn't smoke.
couldn't leave the house after like 9 p.m.
Couldn't leave. You got this? You're following this. Roll. You couldn't smoke. You couldn't drink, I assume. And you couldn't leave the house after 9 o'clock. Is she behaving any better now?
Yes. It's been a long haul, but yeah.
For how long?
Probably, I'd say since Thanksgiving, since she came home, and she's been in counseling with us as a family, and it's helped.
Great. Kaylee, you do not sound like an unintelligent girl, which means that it seems to me that you have the necessary brain cells to be okay. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Some people, unfortunately for them, are born and they have to struggle. Sounds to me as if you don't have to struggle. You're just putting all of your efforts in the wrong direction. But unfortunately, when you start to make mistakes when you're 13, unless you fix them fast, they last your whole life. So it's nice to hear from your mother that you seem to be doing better the last several months. You're doing better in school?
Yes, Your Honor.
What about these girlfriends of yours?
I do not speak to them anymore.
That sounds like a perfect idea. Now, let's get back to the gun episode.
Well, I went and met my friends and this girl, Desiree.
And you went to his house for alcohol.
Yes, and she told me that if I did not end up getting it at the house, I was going to get beat up, so I was doing everything I could to get it.
Desiree said to you, if you don't get into the house and get some alcohol from Mr. Brown, I'm going to beat you up.
Yes.
Is that the story that you're selling today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, so, come on, I'm listening.
We went over to his house and he said he was going to get it, but he had a few errands to run. And Desiree was like, do not let him leave. I was like, all right. So Desiree went outside when he was leaving, and we sat on his hood of his car. And I got on after her, and we weren't going to let him leave. So he decided to go back inside. Well, he wasn't going to let us in, so we all pushed the door back open, and we got in.
Got into his house?
Yeah, he was right there, but...
When you pushed the door to get into his house, that's trespassing. That's a crime. You know that. You understand that. That's a crime. First of all, you sat on his car and vandalized it, and then you pushed your way into his house. That's a crime. That's trespass.
And then he told us to leave, and Desiree said no. And then we all decided not to leave. So he kicked this chair, and then he threw his keys down, and he said he'll make us leave. Well, then he went into the room, and he came back out, and he was putting something in the back of his pants. And he sat down, and he told us to leave, and Desiree said, oh, you think you're all bad now because you got a gun? And that's when he freaked out and he said, leave, and we said no, and that's when he pulled out the gun. And the first thing I did was run out the door, and my friends came right after me, and he came outside and he was yelling just on the top of his lungs, just yelling at us, and we just took off and we went home. And we did not call the cops till the next day.
What'd you call the police for?
Because we were scared, because he was telling us about all of...
All you have to do is not go over and bother him anymore.
Well, no.
Oh. Mr. Brown, how old are you?
27.
You spent the day in jail?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good for you. Probably should have spent a couple more. I'm not sure whether you had a gun, whether you didn't have a gun. Certainly, Kaylee here had no right being in your house, had no right committing a crime. You told her to leave. You understand that, Miss Pritchard?
Yes.
Told her to leave. She didn't leave with her friends. He begged her to leave. They threatened him. All of that, Mr. Brown, was brought about by your actions because you supplied the girls with alcohol. And that's what happens when you do the wrong thing. When you do the wrong thing, you never know where it's going to come back and bite you in the behind.